think we just gotta do this.
Okay, we just dive in.
Okay. I used to love public speaking when I was a kid. I got really competitive about like the speeches that you would do in the gym. And if I didn't make it to the gym, I would cry.
I didn't even want to make it to the classroom. I had doctor's notes. We had to do a monologue in French class. And I told her, like, I have severe anxiety. I can't do this. I'm filming it at home in my pajamas because this was like an opportunity that was given. She's like, if you have anxiety, just submit a video.
Okay.
I'm fresh out of the shower, like literally makeup still dripping off my face. No bra on, in my pajamas, in a karate t-shirt.
Why?
Because I thought she was going to watch the video alone.
Did she play it in front of the whole class?
I've never wanted to run out of the school so badly in my life. She goes, we're going to play the videos now. Jill's first. And I'm sitting there. I was like, I have to leave. I didn't realize. I would have just said it in front of the class. It would have been less embarrassing than everyone now watching me in my purple and blue striped bedroom try to speak French.
That's so embarrassing for you.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
And they wonder why you don't continue to take French.
Did you actually run out of the class? Like, I'm not watching me speak French.
I'm not kidding. I almost wanted to leave. And
no, I actually do think it's more embarrassing. Okay, like, you know when you first start posting like TikToks and things, I would like watch them back and just be like, I have to act. If somebody sees this, it's over. But like, you're posting it for people to see. But it's so embarrassing.
You know what's even more embarrassing than that? Because Zach my boyfriend doesn't have TikTok, but is trying to support me through mine by making an account. And I'm like looking through, I wanted to like filter, like delete any videos that were extremely cringy before he went on it. And I look for like 3 to 5 years now. I thought my TikTok name was Sammy Sweetheart.
What was it?
Sammy Sweatheart. I spelled Sweetheart wrong. Who was gonna tell me?
I was reading it as Sammy Sweetheart.
Okay,
I did not read Sammy Sweatheart.
And this wasn't even like for a week.
Oh my god, can I actually tell you something super embarrassing? Do you remember the game Nintendogs?
Yeah.
Okay, so when I was growing up, I had that game, and I had a golden retriever on it, and I accidentally named her Angle instead of Angel. I had to give that motherfucker up for adoption because I was like, I can't have a dog named Angle on my, like, that's so embarrassing. And then like when you would give the dogs up for adoption, they would sit there and be like, are you sure? I cried. I was like, I'm sure Angle. Sure. So like we've all been there.
Yeah.
It's okay, Sammy Sweatheart.
Yeah.
Anyways, hi, I'm Shannon. This is Sammy Sweatheart.
And this is our podcast.
This is our podcast
called
The Space in Between. Do a heart. The Space in Between.
Mostly, I think it's more us creating a space to have conversations about, like, we don't want to make it too specific where we can't touch on certain topics, but we want to hold a space to talk about conversations that you don't typically see on your news channels. You don't really see in your newspapers or where you seek your current news, but we want to talk about hard topics, and we want to create a space that's open and welcome to everyone's opinion. Yes. Shannon and I are not going to agree on everything. We have very different life experiences, very different perspectives, but we like to learn, and we want to create a space where you can, and where you are only going to have information that is actually factual from real sources of information and research.
Period. Because I feel like in the current geopolitical climate, there's so much division, and people just aren't talking anymore. Like, we're in, I believe this, you believe this, so I hate you. Like, and there's just so much division between people, and I think that is one of the greatest issues that we're like facing kind of as a society. And I think algorithms and like how we consume media kind of pigeonhole us into our specific beliefs, and then we only see content based on our specific beliefs. So yeah, I guess our goal is to kind of just create a space in between that and recognize that, you know, like, you may believe something differently than I do. We're allowed to have different opinions, and a lot of the times when you take the time to sit and actually listen to someone's opinion, you might learn something new. You might have a conversation that inspires you to go do some research of your own. And I think a lot of the time when we just shut down is where the issue starts. And I think that that's kind of just like where we are as a society right now. Like, we're just not willing to believe or listen to anything outside of our little like microsphere of information.
Yeah.
You know?
It's interesting. It's like you almost create, like, you always have a footprint on the internet, but you almost create like a community of influencers who are now telling you these opinions, and you like one video and then you get thrown a whole bunch of other influencers that have that same opinion. Yeah. And then it kind of like slowly, it's not even like we have a left, a right, or a center. It's such specific beliefs for such specific groups that it's really hard to form any kind of community.
Absolutely. And like something I've noticed and reflected as someone who has posted content on TikTok, for example, is it can be a very polarizing space. I feel like in the comment sections, like, people are looking for arguments. They're also like not even watching a whole video before they're commenting. You know, like they're just like, they'll hear one thing they don't like, and then it can be like 20 seconds into a video, and then they're going to start commenting. I feel like the internet has become a really hostile space.
Yes. Yeah.
And yeah, I want to be able to create a place where, you know, we can have different views and different perspectives on things and meet each other without hostility.
Yeah. You know? Yeah. And be able to admit, like, if I have a certain opinion on something and I start to learn more about it and maybe my opinion's changed, again, that doesn't mean I'm wrong. It just means that I'm growing and I'm learning, and we should, or else we're never going to meet. Like, there's never going to be a solution where two divided groups come together if you can't even open your mind to listen to the other's perspectives or opinions.
We need to normalize changing our opinions when we have new information. Because there are certain things that I feel like I'm super educated on and I can speak super well on, like environmental issues, indigenous issues, women's issues, like those things I feel very sound in. But then, like, we want to talk about the economy, bitch, I don't know shit. And like, I can admit that I don't know anything. So if someone is going to come in with a perspective that may offer new information on that, obviously I'm going to listen. But I think it's also really important when we're coming in with information that we're coming in with things that are rooted in truth.
Yes.
And I think with the culture of how the internet has shifted, defining truth can be very abstract nowadays.
I feel like it's so odd to like live in a time where it's not even like going to CTV News or like going to your newspaper is the way that people find news. Now it's Facebook or it's Elon Musk tweeting. But we need to understand that people like that are public figures, and now that they have a government role, that is propaganda. That's not news. That's not a third party giving you facts from something that they've researched both sides on. That's one-sided information that is trying to market whatever they want you to buy.
Yeah, and also like the ideology and the lifestyles that they want to sell to you. I'm not sure if you're on this side of TikTok, but like the trad wife side of TikTok. No. Okay, so I sometimes, like, I'm a very holistic person. I'm very much like, I love natural medicine. I love, you know, food as healing and those things. But like that pipeline to believing in those things and alt-right conservatism, you know, it's very direct.
So what is a trad wife? Like, if you had to give like a definition.
Like, a trad wife is like a traditional wife who takes on traditional roles. So it's a stay-at-home mom who cooks for all of the kids, who is there to solely kind of like care for her husband and her children. Okay. And a lot of that can come with like the sourdough starter, the Ballerina Farms. I was literally on her Instagram this morning, like the Nara Smith.
I was obsessed with her, and then I found out everything.
Yes. Yeah.
And now it's triggering.
Yeah, because she's there to sell you a traditional conservative lifestyle. Yeah. And to make it seem very appealing. And like, in some ways when I'm watching her content, I'm like, that is really appealing. Yeah. As someone who like wants kids and wants land. But then you also have to recognize that these things become popular on social media because of societal shifts,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be really careful with the media that we consume and trusting these people as like be all end all sources of information.
Yeah.
Kind of like what you said earlier with like Elon Musk, like when he's tweeting something, he's now in an authoritarian government. What they're telling you is propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I still get like a little bit sucked into those pipelines where I'm like, oh damn, like I love the trad wife content, but then I have to like stop and think about that and like why that content is being pushed and like what are the roles they're trying to push women into when they push that type of content as well.
And it's so interesting to see how the way that an influencer markets it to their audience, like the trad wife, is almost very similar to what Andrew Tate put out, but because of like the lens that was used and the fact that it was coming from the female point of view and the fact that she looked so happy and she was living a dream life, it was like, oh my god, this is amazing. This is like it almost gave it like a feminist vibe. And then Andrew Tate, the exact same values, the exact same message, but he's a man and he's very aggressive about it. It's like, oh my god, this is misogynist.
Yeah. Oh my god, have you heard the term the red pill pipeline, kind of, or like the red pill? Okay.
What TikTok?
Oh my god, I am on like my tech is like 90% just like the world's falling apart. I'm just like consuming this media all the goddamn time.
My dances. Renegade.
I wish my tick was the renegade. I want to be renegading.
Because I honestly have noticed that if I like questionable videos, it'll pop up. So I'll watch it and I won't like it.
Yes.
And hopefully it doesn't.
Okay, that's so valid.
Yeah.
Okay, so the red pill is essentially like you think back to like when we were kids, like we were growing up in a generation that was seemingly becoming more progressive. Women were being pushed, like there was the girl boss millennial era. Like it seemed like we were becoming more progressive as a society. And then COVID happened and the red pill is essentially these young boys kind of being poisoned with like the Andrew Tate content, the Joe Rogan content, and they're being fed the red pill. Okay. And now we see a generation of young men who have become very radicalized in these like very alt-right views. So that was how young boys were being indoctrinated, right? But obviously, like when you look, they're also going to try to market that to young women as well. But it's being marketed to young women in a very different way. And I believe like the trad wife, also the clean girl aesthetic is very much
literally hate that trend so much. Why is it if my hair isn't slick Rick 5 days greasy, I'm dirty?
Yeah.
You're dirtier than me. Go take a shower. What the heck?
Well, and it's, I think, selling this ideology of purity for women.
Yeah.
That women have to be pure, clean, you know?
Girly.
Girly.
Yeah. I've even seen it where like people are hating on women that work in the trades.
Because that's like a male masculine kind of role.
But for so long they wanted us to appreciate the trades.
It's, I think, again, that kind of shift of how do we control women? And how do you control women ultimately is you take away their means to produce income for themselves. So you trap them in motherhood, you trap them under their husband's control, and then you can control women, and then you can indoctrinate women as well.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's really, really important that we're discerning of the content that we're consuming. And again, discerning that like regardless of whether they're selling us a product, they're selling us a lifestyle.
And they're making you think that whatever lifestyle that doesn't fit into that mold is wrong.
Yes.
And that's where these like little groups have come together. All the clean girls are together. All the, is there another
I would say
aesthetic for girl?
I would say the opposite of the clean girl would be kind of the rise of what we saw with Brat Summer, which is like the messy
party girl.
Yeah.
The Alex Earls.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Like the
Call Her Daddy, I think, honestly, maybe founded that aesthetic.
Absolutely.
And has ran with it. But it's just weird to see this like competition of like lifestyles.
We're commenting on women
Mm-hmm.
and their appearances and those things, I feel like, more than we ever have. Like
Like women commenting on women's appearances.
Yeah. And tearing each other down constantly.
Oh my God. About like things that genuinely should not matter and should never matter. And like tearing down people that are already exposing themselves to that kind of criticism is like I just could never picture
it's
not supporting another woman, really.
No, and again, I feel like we were seeing this shift of like girls supporting girls, becoming girls, like decentering men from your life. And now in the past couple of years, it's shifted back drastically. And it's like women tearing down other women to make themselves feel better or to fit into like the male gaze more as well. We have to like use our critical thinking caps. I know that's like a really
Everybody
put on your critical thinking caps.
if you have them.
If you have one.
If not, we will get you one by
the end of this episode. We will all make our own critical thinking caps.
I don't think people even do it anymore, really.
I think critical thinking is a dying skill.
And I do it all the time because I find myself, I'll see a video and then I want to tell someone what I saw immediately. And they'll be like, where did you hear that? And I'm like,
TikTok.
Off of user 535.
Yeah. And like, may I add, we both have master's degrees.
Yeah, I guess we didn't even introduce ourselves.
This is like a little bit of a backtrack.
Yeah.
But we met, I guess we originally met when we were working in a clothing store together, kind of fell out of touch, and then we reconnected when we were doing our masters together in sustainability.
So like we'll have a sustainable lens. Like a lot of our topics will probably just have that because that's what we know, that's something we're really passionate about, and that's what we've studied. And again, like Shannon said, that's a topic we both are very comfortable speaking on, but that doesn't mean that we're only going to be talking about sustainability and climate change.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I think an idea of ours is like, the world is so goddamn fucking heavy right now that we want to talk about these things but not necessarily contribute to more of that heaviness. Like we want to be able to take kind of like a little bit of like a lighter approach to it as well, because like just talking about how the world is ending all the time is like, who is that? That's not like beneficial for anybody, you know?
No, and I feel like we need it because I see those videos, like I'll watch a couple of videos on politics and I'll be like, I can't talk about this for the rest of the week. It's like it's like too much exposure and then I avoid it. So I want to create a space that's like safe and we can talk about it more. That way it's not as scary.
Yes, absolutely. And I guess we should define what a fact is for us.
Yeah, I think it's such a changing definition for me. It has to be based on some sort of like level of research, if not historical data.
Okay. Yeah.
I think.
Okay. Yeah.
So if someone's not currently studying it, we don't have like a thought out case study or lab trial, that's fine. But if it's happened so many times in history and like we've recorded enough information on it, I think that information is also factual.
Yes, I would agree with that. So like kind of we're going to go with a science-based perspective because I feel like that's typically throughout history what facts have been. I know that's like crazy to say. But for me also, as someone who does take a more like holistic approach to life, I would consider indigenous knowledge a fact. I would consider maybe more of like a traditional midwifery or like understanding that may not necessarily be rooted in a scientific study but is rooted in thousands of years of traditional knowledge would also be considered a fact to me as well. Because I think obviously like when we stick too rigidly in the idea of science, we kind of box ourselves in a little bit, you know?
Yeah, and that's how it tends to become like very biased and westernized, and it doesn't really capture everything that's going on in the world. And I think that kind of tying into that traditional knowledge, like we're going to really try to incorporate storytelling and how our lives currently relate to things that are going on a bigger global scale and how that relates to things that are happening in pop culture, just so we are relating to a wide range of ages. I don't want to really have like a demographic that I'm trying to get to subscribe to this. I really want this to just be an information space. And I would love at some point, if like, I don't know how to do this because obviously we're new, but like to have people call in or to have you guys write in and have opinions, and we'll vocalize them, and we'll kind of get like not a debate going, but a conversation going.
Yes.
And really making sure that it's guided by us, but it's driven by you and what you want to hear.
Yeah. And if you're like, hey, I'm hearing all of these echoes about this specific thing, can you guys like touch on it?
Yeah.
Can you do some research on it? Can you give us your opinions? Like, I would love to do that. Especially like as someone who's like created climate content, and I've gone through the comments, I just realized you can't hate people for not being educated on something that they have purposely been misinformed on. And like the amount of propaganda, for example, against like climate change that's been going on for decades and decades and decades, like you can't be angry when people don't have information on those things, you know?
And I've even been seeing propaganda for climate change, which is a really weird thing to watch. No, the Daily Mail, I don't know what's happened to their TikTok feed. I don't know if anyone else has been following this. It's like AI has taken over. And I've had to stop following it because like I'll see something and it's like a tornado and an alien swoops up, and I'm like, this isn't actually happening. But a part of you is like, this is a news source. Do I believe it?
And I wonder if to an extent they're like making it look like pro-climate, but by doing that, they're making any actual climate news less valid.
Like, it's like the Boy Who Cried Wolf all over again. It's like, there's going to be only so many alien invasions I can void off before one is actually happening. Like, one's going to be knocking on my window. Aliens are here, and I'm going to be like, Daily Mail and AI, get out of here. I can't handle it.
I agree.
Even some of like, I've been getting AI Trump, and like, it's just hard to know what's real and what's fake.
I feel like I have seen things that I've been like bamboozled by and been like, oh my God, I didn't realize that was AI. And we are a generation that is, I would consider, very tech literate. And I still see some AI things where I'm like, damn,
I know.
I didn't. Honestly, okay, speaking of AI, my mom's one friend, her daughter teaches at the college. Okay. She said that they did a paper, like a paper was turned in. 13 students turned in the exact same paper. Half the class turned in the same paper written by ChatGPT. Half of the like, that is so incredibly concerning to me, because like they'll get a topic and then they'll go on ChatGPT and like get it to write their paper for them. Half the class in college, like this is college level.
I fear, because like there's no way I could do my job if I had to chat GPT every email I sent. Like, generally, I can't plug that into Grammarly. I can't plug that into Chat GPT. I can't do any of that. And then it's concerning because you're paying so much money to get those skills. And honestly, like, really want to stress this. I know people probably have heard this so many times. It's so annoying. There's nothing content-wise that I currently use in my job that I learned from school. Nothing content-wise. But the general, like, process of having to collect information and then present it in a way to somebody else in different formats, whether that be a presentation, essay, that, just continue repetition of that is so important.
Yes, it's like the skills you build in university are what's important. And if we're just like turning to AI to make our research questions, collect all of our research for us, write our emails, write our discussion posts, you're not learning those skills in university. So when you go into your workplace, you don't have any of like anything in your toolkit that is necessary. And then you just become someone who's reliant on AI. And I think that's what's scariest about it for me is like we're losing the things that make us human.
I was just going to say, it's like another level of losing control.
Yeah.
Because now you've almost like in a sense lost your voice.
Yeah. Because
like,
you don't know how to use it anymore.
And you're not. Like someone else is actually speaking for you.
Yeah.
Someone else is actually using your creativity, everything.
And like forming your opinions for you.
Based off of what you click.
Based off of, yeah, like,
You know what I mean?
yeah, absolutely.
Like, I can imagine that if you're always like Googling certain political parties, certain influencers, certain companies, even,
yeah,
your
AI is going to be generated towards that. And like, don't get me wrong, I understand the practical uses of it. Like, I have used ChatGPT, like, for example, for my business, when, you know, I like have a concept for an Instagram post I want to make, but I don't know how to word it.
Yeah.
I'll be like, okay, can you help me like word this?
Yeah.
And I understand the practicality of that. But I think it's a very fine line of when does my own brain stop having the skills to do it itself?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And also like my ChatGPT account like saves every single prompt I've ever given it. So it now has a profile.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, of like who I am, what my business is, the type of things I've wanted it to write for me in the past. So it's like built a profile of me.
Please don't put your personal information into ChatGPT.
Yeah.
I don't want no SIN numbers going in there. Please
Do not put your SIN number in ChatGPT. Well, even, okay, this is like
know
not
that.
related at all, but 23andMe, like the company that you would do your like DNA analysis on.
Yeah.
They are, I think, claiming bankruptcy or something to that extent, and they're being sold as a company. And there's basically no guarantee that when your data is sold, that your DNA cannot be sold now to other companies. So I saw this whole post on CNN, how they were saying like, you need to go into your 23andMe account before this happens and make it so that your DNA isn't stored and it can't be sold, which is what I think a lot of people were concerned about when those technologies came out, because they were like, yeah, like this company's going to have my DNA. And like, that's now a reality of like, they can now probably sell your DNA. And like, I was looking through TikTok comments and people were like, yeah, well, I don't give a fuck. You should. You should.
Why? I just always want to ask those people why. Why do you not care?
Like, in America, health insurance is based on pre-existing conditions. What if your health insurance can now access your DNA?
Or your ChatGPT.
Or your ChatGPT and could see what you're like Googling and being like, well, you're Googling that you're having all of these.
Oh, no. I wouldn't. I've Googled every disease under the sun. They'd be like, she's dead. Probably. She's dying right now.
You are not getting health insurance.
We've looked up. My Google history would generally just be health claims. Headache, death. Sprained ankle, death. Just
torn meniscus, death.
Oh my God.
But like, I don't think it's unreasonable to be little concerned about what those companies are doing with your information.
Like, we got to really think that what we see and know, there's so much behind closed doors.
It's the tip of the iceberg.
Like, every time, honestly, I press accept cookies, I think I shouldn't. And I do it anyways. And it's weird that they've called them cookies.
Is that done on purpose?
I think it's, again, marketing. Who hates cookies?
Nobody.
If it was like accept rights to all my information, would we?
Oh my God, that's so true.
Why is it cookies?
Can someone smarter than me answer this?
Yeah, can some engineer at Tesla
tell me why
it's cookies?
Also, can we talk about the fact that now when you Google something, the first thing that comes up is AI results?
I want to say, because I recently used this at work, and a result popped up and I was like, wait, that's not right. And I went and I did my research and I looked at the sources of whatever they're pulling this information from, and whatever AI generated was not right.
Because it's not entirely factual.
And this is like, I'm talking like I was looking up an invasive plant.
Oh, shit.
For like, because I work for the city, for like a city strategy for invasive plants. And it was like, yeah, this plant is so invasive, it'll kill everything. I looked up all the research, not invasive at all.
But yeah, that's why we have to like be discerning and like can't just trust. And I've definitely fallen victim to that because I've been like making content about fashion and I'll like Google something like which percentage of clothing is imported from overseas, and I'll just like see like the top result and I'll be like, oh, that's what I'm going to use for my video.
Yeah.
But then recognizing that as I have a responsibility as someone who claims to be science-based, as someone who's making content, to make sure the information I'm sharing is factual. And there's been times where, you know, when you're just making a video, like it already takes you a fucking hour to film, edit, goddamn, do your research for a 35-second video. I'm like, I don't want to spend an hour collecting facts but I have to. I should.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, I should be making sure, like, I think I have to ask myself, like, would I cite this in a paper?
And
if the answer is no, then I shouldn't be sharing it in a video.
Because essentially, the AI generated response is like a synopsis of what Wikipedia is going to give you, because it's pulling from any website that's on Google.
Yeah.
Like, I could throw a website up on Google and just be typing it in, and now AI is generating random things I put on my blog and telling people that's the answer to their question.
Okay, so then this brings me to, like, my next thing of how much physical media do you consume in your daily life?
I don't think any.
I also kind of had that realization of, like, damn, pretty much everything I'm reading, everything I'm consuming is online. And I'm not even, like, sitting and reading a book anymore.
No.
I used to read a lot in high school, and I have realized that I'm, like, struggling with reading lately. Like, my attention span, like, can't.
I was gonna say, it's my attention span. I can't even. I think it got shattered during COVID a lot, and, like, the rise of TikTok. But, like, because I'm currently working from home for this month, and if I'm, like, sitting at my desk, there's no music playing and it's silence, I physically can't work. Like, it doesn't feel right. I have to, like, put on the TV, put on music, put on some kind of stimulation, or I can't.
Yeah, because, like, your brain literally can't just focus on that one thing.
No.
And I will say, like, I have ADHD. I'm pretty sure you have ADHD. But I don't think that's, I don't want to say an excuse, but I think that TikTok and the way we consume media has exacerbated those things.
Oh, yeah.
Because I used to be someone that I could sit and read for hours and hours and hours. Like, I could read a book in 3 days. And, like, right now I'm reading a book I really enjoy, but it's, like, painful. I feel like I'm forcing myself to read it, and I hate that I feel that way.
Yeah.
And I'm, like, trying to be more mindful about consuming physical media, because I also feel like physical media is less biased to the sways of, like, what's currently happening in an online sphere. Like, it has to be more mindful.
Yeah.
Because it's being printed, it's being sold, it's being published. It's not just, like, Joe Schmo posting a fucking article, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. They had to, like, get a license and yeah, they're paying rent to make this newspaper.
Yeah.
I also feel like it makes you less disconnected from it.
Yes.
Like, it feels like, okay, this is actually happening. Like, I'm actually reading this.
Yeah.
It's not something I can just exit out of and I never have to worry about again.
Yeah, or, like, halfway through I can just be like, oh, whatever. Like, especially when I bought a book, I'm like, oh, I like, paid money for this, you know?
Yeah.
Which is, like, sad that that's kind of, like, where my brain goes, that, like, money is the only value, you know?
Well, if you live in Canada right now, you have to.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think about everything in a budget perspective.
Yeah, I think about every fucking dollar that I spend.
Oh,
every, like,
insane. But, like, to tie that all back in, it's kind of interesting that newspapers died out as technology started to rise. When we were younger and our parents really read the newspaper, like the Sun and the Saturday News, really died out because they started charging for it.
Because they probably had to, like, they couldn't, like, keep,
and they didn't want to, and my parents didn't want to pay for it, so we just stopped getting the newspaper. And then now we just consume everything either on the TV or mostly Facebook, especially older generations. Like, I think that's their hub, and I think that in a sense they think that they're creating a community by finding like-minded opinions, but they're actually just, like, creating, like, very toxic environments to express any type of opinion that isn't the one being supported. And so I think we want to incorporate somehow, some way, some physical media into this podcast. I think you can explain it better then.
So I kind of had an idea. It was actually inspired by that book that our tripod is sitting on. It's called Mysteries of the Ancient World by National Geographic. I got it at the thrift store. So I like collaging a lot. So I have, like, a ton of, like, kind of, like, you could see, like, these books. And I thrift a lot of books and old magazines. And as I'm collaging, sometimes I'll read an article and be like, hold up, this is, like, actually really interesting. So we kind of have an idea that at the end of every podcast moving forward, we're not going to do it this one, but like moving forward, that we're each going to pick a piece of physical media, probably like some sort of National Geographic, because like that's what I have a ton of those, you have a ton of those, and we're going to read it and we're going to teach it to each other, and we're going to engage in critical thinking.
Yes,
we're going to engage no chat GPT, just us, maybe a piece of paper and a pen.
Oh my god,
I know,
archaic.
And we're going to teach each other a form of physical media and teach you a form of physical media. Because I think like with the rise of the influencer, journalism as a whole is kind of becoming this like obsolete, like journalism isn't valued the way it used to be.
No, I don't even think it's considered like a real job anymore, and I feel like I did like a quick stint 1 week of college journalism. Maybe I'll talk about that in a future episode, but they were even talking about it then, and this was like early maybe 2015, and they were saying like journalism as a whole just seems to be disappearing because anyone can be a journalist. So now journalists are trying to find their space to like, you almost have to go like above and beyond to be like, no, I actually like follow the principles of like spreading good awareness and fact-based knowledge and like really getting into it. So I'm thinking when we do post these, maybe we'll post the resources in the caption so you guys can go
like look at
check it out if you're like, oh, they said that, but I want to know like why or how. You can go find that information, because I don't want to be just a
we do not want to be perpetrators of what we are talking shit about. I cannot activate cognitive dissonance. It's like source, trust me.
Source. I actually watched it from user 53 and then I brought it on here to the podcast to tell you.
And that's fact-based journalism. So yeah, anyways, that's how we're going to be incorporating print media into what we're doing as well. Because I feel like that's what journalism is to me, is someone who's like sitting down writing an article for National Geographic.
Yeah, we can talk about any article really.
Absolutely. It doesn't also always have to be related to what we're talking about that week. I really like sharks, so I'll probably talk about sharks in an article one week.
It sounded like it's a confession. I really like sharks. Yeah, I like turtles as well.
Guys, don't tell anybody, but I really like sharks.
And it could honestly be like anything. Obviously, we're not people to stay on topic.
Staying on topic is boring. What is this, a university presentation?
Yeah, I don't want to lecture.
No,
if I start coming in here with a notepad, I would actually say stop listening.
Hold up. Okay, like, I remember one time when I was in my undergrad, and I was presenting my undergraduate thesis to my class, and my title of my thesis was like
you had to
boring.
Present?
Because it was like a thesis seminar.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so we had to like present, and it was like a whole PowerPoint, and my thesis like was so boring, as most they are boring. And I made a joke about how my title was really boring at the beginning.
Oh no.
I got the whole room laughed.
Okay
I got marks taken off for cracking a joke.
You know what's tea? I've actually just taken a presentation class and got reamed out because she did one of these, which honestly was crazy to do in a presentation class. But she went, who raise your hand if you ever, when you present, you tell jokes. I'm like this. Only one raised her hand.
Okay.
Thanks for isolating.
Yeah. Okay.
And she's like, yeah, never do that again.
Why?
She's like, just promise me. She's like, it could go either way. Like, people could think it's not funny. I just want people to know that I have a personality under here. Oh my
God forbid you have a personality.
Yeah.
God forbid. Also, I'm sorry, like so many, I know you work in government, and I'm sure it's like the same thing in corporate or like an office. Like, it's literally just like drains your soul. Don't be or think outside of like the information we want you to present.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I just like disliked about the academic system as a whole. Was that it was very much just like, I want you to sit up here, you gotta present your graphs, and that's it.
No smiling, no laughter.
Passion, get it the fuck out of here. You can't be happy while you're giving a presentation.
You like my class?
10 points off.
Failed.
Taking it again. Oh my god. Oh my god. Thank God I'm not in university anymore. But also I was thinking about it, like, thank God we were in university pre-chat GPT days.
We had such a fear that I don't know if kids have these days of plagiarism. Like, it was like drilled into us.
Yeah.
If there's like one sentence that matches something on any site,
Yeah.
anywhere, you're like kicked out of the school, failed.
If you don't like put a bracket in the right spot. I've like heard of people who like forgot to put an end bracket at the end of a citation and got a 0 on a paper because of that. Like, that's how, and like went to
Cutthroat.
yeah, it was like insane. Plagiarism was like not something to fuck with. And now I don't even know how universities are even
Grading.
how do you even do that?
Like, I can't imagine the Turnitin scores. Probably like 60%.
Yeah,
Like every paper.
absolutely. Because I feel like to an extent, pretty much everybody in university is probably using. Actually, I don't want to say everybody.
I hope not.
I hope not. Oh my God, there's a wasp.
What?
So sorry about that. We were attacked by a wasp in the comfort of my own goddamn home. I just touched the leaf. I touched the leaf.
I have such a fear of things that sting me, and I don't want this to be Murphy's Law, but it's because I get stung.
Okay. Well, that's valid. Okay, well, it's over there for now.
Yeah.
We're gonna,
I think, say bye.
ward off. Okay, also, I was saying that, like, wasps are a sign of, like, a psychic attack.
And she lives in a very haunted house.
I do. Very haunted house. And I practice witchcraft. We may as well put that out there. Like, throw it out there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, someone's trying to sabotage. Were you silent or were you silenced?
That's it. You cut it.
Okay, we hate to end it this way, but
Yeah.
the wasp is really scaring us. So, anyways, I'm Shannon,
I'm Jill.
and this is the space in between.
Thanks for joining.
Thanks for joining us, and I promise next week there will be no wasps.
Mm-mm.
Well, I actually can't promise that, but like I'll really try really hard to make sure there is no wasps. Okay. Well,
Oh, wow.
thanks for listening.
Have a good day.
Mwah.